liberty, and justice for all. All right. We'll begin our meeting with our regular administrative tasks, starting with the approval of the April meeting minutes.
Well, I looked those over soon after the meeting, and I didn't find any corrections or changes, so I would make a motion to approve. Oh,
I did have one thing that I noticed in my report. Where's my report? It says the Board of Health has hired a new health director. It probably should say public health administrator, just to be technical. I mean, I don't know if that matters to anybody, but
okay.
Well, it could be confusing when
it could
someone
be
were to look at
confusing
it in the
later.
future.
It
Yeah.
could be confusing later.
I can change that. The signature page is separate, so
Okay.
if y'all go ahead and sign, I will change that on that page.
Okay.
Okay.
So with that one amendment, motion to approve, Jeff?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
With the one on the.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I think I've got Mike with the second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0 with that one correction. Community Corrections, Brett Barton.
Morning.
Good morning.
We've got 100 clients on this morning. 5 are on CTP, 2 are on pretrial, and we don't have any juveniles at the moment. Don't know if you knew, but the community corrections budget was cut by $7 million in the 11th hour a couple weeks ago. Once I found that out, I did pull up the current budget and the past biannual budget, and I wanted to see where our cuts were allocated. DOC central office received a 20% bump, and parole received a 20% bump in their funding. The problem I have with that is that the state continually tells counties to eliminate duplication of services, and parole is just the epitome of duplication of services. So I've let my feelings known to our program manager, and they're trying to figure out a solution for that. But that being said, well, first I'll go, I think the thought on how the state is going to allocate funds this year, I think they should start with any county that had a carryover in funds, eliminate that first, and then I hope there's going to be like a equitable decrease in funding across all counties. So that being said, I'm probably going to lose about $25,000 here on our grant. So
What's your total grant? What's a?
309,000 last
so
year. We
that's
asked
me.
for 317 this year.
That's meaningful. Okay.
So I tried to figure out that weekend on how we can make up that money without cutting costs all that much. I pulled up every statute I could find on our project income, every guideline, every policy, read through it, and there's nothing in there that says we can't earn interest on that money. So contacted the community corrections field auditor and my program manager, ran that idea by them. They said, well, nobody's ever asked for that. Let's go. Took it to our supervisors, and they ran it out actually over to legal at the State House, came back and said, absolutely, you can earn money on that. So if we put that in a very conservative savings account or CD, I think we probably generate $10,000 or $15,000 on that going forward. So
Okay, good.
since that is a fiscal matter, I wanted to run it by you, the council, see if you had any ideas or objections to that, and then I will bring it to my board in the future.
I think that's wonderful.
Good idea.
Very creative.
Yeah.
Right.
A little outside the box thinking and
And
trying to get ahead of
I've
it.
noticed the CD rates for 7 months and 13 months are more than 6 and 12. You know, it's kind of odd. It's like
Yeah.
if you just go one more month, they're giving you a lot more money. So.
But we deal with farmers. I went over there and they're doing a 4% for a 12-month
Yes,
right now.
perfect,
So
perfect, good.
Okay.
go from there.
All right.
Thank you. Any
Thank you,
questions,
Brett.
or- Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We have probation reports listed. We'll pick up again with probation next month with the new director. He had a previous engagement today that was already in his schedule and couldn't get that moved, so he'll make his debut with us next month.
Alan?
Yes.
We do have a representative here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't think I met you face to face.
No, we haven't. I'm sorry.
I'm Ember Morris. I'm representing probation today.
Hi,
and
Ember.
I know, you guys are concerned about detention costs, and we had 0 last month.
Okay. All right, great. Well, that's what we wanted to hear.
All righty.
That's the best reports you could give.
You get the star.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming over.
You're welcome.
New business. We have the CF1, the tax abatement annual reporting for the Hardy Hill Solar Energy Project. You have that information in in your packet. It is very straightforward. It's very successful. You'll see that this is basically, there's not very much income tax-related improvements there. This is basically an assessed value. They had projected a $200 million investment. The actual investment was $280 million, which is why our economic development payment came in larger than we had originally projected. So they are obviously very much substantially in compliance with what they projected at the time that they asked for the abatement. So unless anybody has any questions, that is taxed as a utility. You'll see that the utility assessment form later in the packet. So that is not even anything that we have a say over here locally on the assessed value of that. That is done at the state level. So very straightforward. I'd entertain a motion to approve that if you all feel the
Yes.
same. Okay, motion by Joe. Do I have a second? Second by Mary. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. We did receive, by the way, our second installment payment on the 10-year economic development payment. So that's between the two payments, just shy of $900,000 that we've received on that so far. Okay, opioid settlement committee recommendation. Laura Archibald.
Yes.
We can just pass them down if you want to.
I will apologize for my voice here in advance. I have some laryngitis going on. I will,
Give these to the girl.
if I have to stop and take a drink, then you'll know why. So we only had one application in this cycle for the opioid settlement committee, and awkwardly, that was from Healthy Communities. So that recommendation actually did pass, and so I'm coming to you with that recommendation today. The committee voted for that to go with a recommendation with $17,000 for the city and $17,000 from the county, and that has been through the commissioners already. This request was for money to continue the evidence-based recovery cafes. These recovery cafes happen at the Trinity Hope Center, and they are evidence-based. They support people in treatment and recovery. They also help with connections to care, and a lot of the people in them are criminal justice involved people. The goal is that we reach a minimum of 100 individuals, men, women, teens, and couples with substance use disorder every single month. A minimum of 350 unique individuals, and provide them with this evidence-based programming and wraparound services. The total cost of the project is $168,000 every year. We are doing an in-kind contribution of $134,000 and asking for a funding request of $34,000, with that being split half between the city and half between the county. This program is really important. It's one of the few evidence-based programming that we have available in the county. It's one of the most popular programs that we have going. I feel like it's very, very vital. We go through what's called the steps of vitality and promotive and protective factors for recovery. Things like mental vitality, physical vitality, financial vitality. So we go through the things that kind of are the building blocks or the stepping stones to recovery, and the things that they need to maintain to stay in long-term recovery. They come together, we have a meal, and then we break out into small groups, and there are pointed discussion questions. And those questions are things about like what things in in the past did you do versus what you need to do now in those areas of vitality to maintain long-term recovery. Then the participants get a gift card for their participation. They're very well attended. I can tell you, we started the Teen Recovery Cafe a year ago, January. And, it was just one of those things like, how is this going to go, And we had 2 kids the first month, but now we average 12 every single month. I think Ember can talk to that too. It's making a difference in these teens' life. And she highly recommends that her teens go, and corrections highly recommends their people go. And I think the participants get a lot out of it, and it's good when they come back, even when they don't have to come back, and they still come back every month. And we see these teens get off probation and stay off probation, and their answers change as those months progress, and things like, I just don't hang around with that person anymore because I know they're a bad influence and I need to stay out of trouble. And you see adults making better decisions. And, the first time we talked about financial vitality, I was doing this and this. Now I'm putting this money here and there, and it's making a big difference. And so you just see the progress month to month and the people coming back. So I feel like we're getting very good results with these recovery cafes.
I've heard a lot of good feedback about it too.
Yeah. Any questions?
Some of these pictures are from the New Year's Eve party. You want to tell them about New Year's Eve, how that made a difference?
Yeah, we had the first sober New Year's Eve party. I'll be honest, I kept wanting to do it, and Chris was like, I don't think anybody will come. I'm like, well, we're doing it, whether you want to or not, and we'll just see. If nobody comes, they don't come. And we had
150 people, 170
right
people.
close to 200 people there, and it was amazing. We had a really good time, and people really enjoyed it. That'll be an annual event from now on, so.
Just to clarify, we had 2 pots of money, the restricted funds that had to be used
Yes.
towards opioid addiction treatment, and then the unrestricted, and this council had voted that even the unrestricted funds should go to that same purpose, but this is from the restricted
I
pot.
would recommend from restricted, it's evidence-based programming. It's absolutely a no-brainer that it fits under that. The committee actually recommended it go for restricted. Walgreens just finished their settlement, so we should be seeing that money come through very soon. And there's lots of money still in restricted and unrestricted, but I feel like this absolutely, of anything evidence-based programming falls under restricted, so I think you should put it under the restricted fund.
Okay. This actually shows up in our additional appropriations as well, but given its attachment to this report, I do think we could, for the record, have a vote specific to this request. Do I have a motion to support this?
I would like to make that motion.
Okay. Carol has the motion to support the 17,000 from the restricted opioid fund. Mary has her hand up for the second. Any last questions for Laura? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0.
I'd like to say something too, to Laura and Brett and the community corrections, healthy communities, and the probation. I want to congratulate you on all the work that you do together to change lives. I really, it's a great system. Not every county has what we have here, and I'm really pleased with all that's being done for people. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
here.
And them making the referrals to us makes a big difference. It really does. The other sheet you have is from our annual event. I know not all of you could attend. Some of you were there, but not all of you. We have it in November, which is not really very friendly for those of you in agriculture. So I wanted to give that to you. We get grant dollars through the county every year. And so we just wanted you to be aware of the reach that we are able to do at Healthy Communities. And your grant dollars help that. We have 15 employees at Healthy Communities. We have 2 nurses, a social worker, 3 insurance navigators, 4 peer recovery coaches, and a certified prevention specialist and a certified medical interpreter. Through those 15 workers who I could not do my job without, we're able to reach over 16,000 people in this county every single year. We're in every single school system and the crossing doing evidence-based programming, and that prevention programming is paying off. And kudos to Carol for starting Healthy Communities. But we've been around long enough, you guys, that we're seeing prevention work pay off. And prevention work is that thing that's really hard to see in numbers because it takes a long time. But we've been around long enough now that you're seeing it. And if you look at the numbers on this community impact now, we're seeing those numbers pay off. And I won't read these to you because you all can read, but you can see now, like in our smoking rates decreasing, our infant mortality rate decreasing, our teen pregnancy rate decreasing, our uninsured rate decreasing. All of those things are because we've been here for so long and we've done this prevention work for so long. Those things mean healthier, happier people living in our county, but it also affects the bottom line of the county also. Financially, it makes a huge impact. And so I just wanted to give you those statistics. I also wanted to let you guys know we had no preventable infant deaths in 2023 and 2024 in our county. That's a big deal. Our LOSS team, which is local outreach to suicide survivors, is now one of only 3 in the state of Indiana, which is considered active. So kudos to our coroner for working with us. That means that we can be called directly to a scene if the family wants in the case of a loss to suicide. So that takes a lot of cooperation. So we want to make sure that you guys know your coroner is doing a good job and he's participating in that program. That can mean a big difference between, mental health crisis and some comfort to a family in need in their time of need. So thank you to the coroner for that. And then we also want you to know that our staff doesn't just end there, that like we're trying to be very active in the community outside of Healthy Communities. We're active for the Opioid Settlement Committee. We're leading the Housing Coalition, and also the Partnership for Drug-Free Clinton County, our Drug and Alcohol Coalition. And then I'm on the Healthy Hoosier Foundation board. The governor appointed me to that board so that we have some representation at the state level as well. And then have members of our board on the Riggs board, Community Foundation Board, one of the advisory committees for the Purdue Extension. We're on 2 boards at Purdue University and the Health Department Board as well. So trying to do our part outside of just Healthy Communities as well. So we thank you for that grant dollars that you give us to support things every year. It sounds crazy, but every year there are things that we want to do that there aren't grant dollars out there for, and crazy things that we find we need that just don't fit in those grant dollars. Carol and I used to laugh like toilet paper just doesn't get written into grants sometimes, but there are crazy things that you find that you need that just don't fit into grant dollars, and your support with those dollars really does help, and we appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much for all you do. Okay. Next up, we have on the agenda 1 job description, but I have 2 in front of me. So I believe, do we have 2?
You should actually have 3.
What am I missing
3.
here? I have, CASA. Okay, got it. I see that now. Okay, so we have from the Job Classification Committee, the recommendation here on some job descriptions. So Mary, I'll turn it to you to maybe speak to those real quick.
Thank you. The first one that we have is for the CASA director. This is actually a new job description, and it's actually not a replacement for any previous job description. Our committee recommendation for the CASA director job description, we recommend yes, that be approved. The crime scene investigator would be the second one. This is also a new job description. It is a new position, and our committee recommendation for this job description is also yes. And the third, being the maintenance groundskeeper for the Parkview home. This was discussed during budget time, and we kind of all knew that this was coming down the pipe. So it is a reclassification and a new job description, and our committee recommendation for both is yes.
Yeah, this is one that we talked a lot about. We felt a little bit trapped last year at budget time because of the way it had been completed previously, that we felt we had a certain box we had to stay within, and we encouraged Chris to resubmit that, and he did, and has followed the process, and so everything's working as it should. So we have those three items. Does anybody have any questions? First of all, thank you to the committee for, again, putting that time and effort into those reviews and recommendations. From the other council members, any questions?
No.
Okay, so we have a slate of 3 job descriptions that I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Make that motion?
I have a motion by Jeff, do I have a second? Second by Joe. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Okay,
And just to note, we will be meeting again today. We have a few more to review, and
Okay.
so we will be meeting following
okay,
council
great,
meeting.
great. One last administrative thing, this may be a new record that we're into May with continued salary ordinance amendments, but we have one to amend the Board of Health Administrator salary, and that has to do with resetting that salary at the time of a change of persons in that position. So I don't have that right here handy. Do you have that handy? So reflecting a salary of $63,628, or biweekly $2447.23. I'd entertain a motion on that.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mary to approve the change to the salary ordinance. Second by Jeff. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, now I want to kind of briefly divert from our regularly scheduled agenda here, because Sheriff Kelly needs some time with the council, and he's got to leave here quickly to go to another appointment, so I told him I'd squeeze him in here before the additional appropriations. So, Sheriff Kelly, the floor is yours.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Just typical summer things, spring things that I would like to request. I would like to request $5,000 for the giveaways, the things that we do for the different programs we participate in the summertime, from the parades to the fairs to the school presentations, things like that. So that's one thing. And then a separate thing is the $1,500 for landscape at the sheriff's office to freshen up the mulch, possibly buy some new mowing equipment, some reel mowers or push mowers. And probably the largest thing is that, and I'll need a vote on this, is taking the lieutenant line and reducing it to a deputy line, and which in the future, we don't plan on using that lieutenant slot. We would rather reduce it, and obviously it's a pay reduction, but it's a merit deputy slot instead of paying that person as a lieutenant.
So that would be a deputy on the road?
Yes, that would be a deputy that would be assigned to the road. And that's with our most recent retiree, Jared Blacker's position. And that is the reason for the hiring of the civilian to do the sex offender registry and evidence.
Oh, I like
So-
that, yeah.
I like it too.
Yeah, that's good. So we got 2 things there, 2 action items that the sheriff's requested. The first would be the request from commissary approval for $5,000 for the various activities that sheriff mentioned there, and then $1,500 for landscape / potentially some mowing or equipment
Yes.
to accomplish those purposes. We have a very healthy balance in that fund. There's no reason that the fund can't afford it, so I'd entertain a motion to approve if you all feel comfortable. Had a motion by Joe. Anybody?
I'll second it.
Second by Carol, that we authorize those expenses from commissary. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0.
By the way, the tulips were gorgeous.
Oh, they are, aren't they? It's amazing. That's kind of one of the things we do take pride in the facility, and I know in the last part of this conversation today, I'll kind of, give you my woes over the building, but, it's one of the things that we do take pride in, and, and I think it's something that our county should take pride in, is all of our facilities.
The second part is the request to reduce a lieutenant's salary level back down to a regular merit deputy level. Britt, can you pull up real quick? I'd be anxious to know what that difference is. Or Sheriff, do you know the difference?
I don't know
Just
the
for
difference
record,
offhand. I'm going to count on Brett,
Let me just,
maybe.
I don't think it necessarily impacts the vote if we want to keep moving while she looks, but
we've got I don't know, do you know what line number it is? Because the ordinance goes by the line numbers.
I do not.
so you might be able to look on that ordinance there.
I could look,
the one that we
my
just
guess would be like
adopted.
1233, possibly.
Lieutenant,
Is it detective lieutenant or just lieutenant?
It's just, this part's
Okay.
blacked out.
It should be just lieutenant.
Yeah, it's, and then it would be going down
Going
to
down to-
merit deputy. I don't see the merit deputies. Do you?
36.84 an hour, it looks like.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were looking for the merit.
And then
I see the lieutenant, but I don't see the merit deputy line. It should be right there.
the deputies would probably be back in 1170.
Oh, that's right, they're in a different budget.
So what's this one? To 3112.
Okay. So that'd be times what, 1660? Or is that more hours than that? No, that'd be more.
Probably 80 hours.
It's gonna be a substantial,
Yeah, and it would be, and plus it's one of the,
plus one more road officer on the road.
put somebody else out on the road.
Yeah.
And we have 2 current positions open once you guys vote on that. And I'm reluctant to a certain extent until we start talking about the 26 budget to move forward. So I'll get with, whoever you want to be the liaison, and we'll talk about, maybe holding off until we get a little deeper into the
Okay.
26 budget. I know we've got some tax issues that you guys have to figure out, that the state has to figure out, and I think we'll be okay, but I am, concerned with the 26 budget.
Okay.
So we can have that conversation
I do
before we
want a motion,
open any
though.
processes.
I'll take it.
Okay, Joe's got that motion to approve the reduction of I guess it would be a reduction in salary and reclassification of the position
Reclassification
from
position.
lieutenant to road merit deputy. Joe with that motion, Mike with the second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. I did real briefly before the meeting, let the sheriff know, and I'm kind of jumping ahead myself, but I think it's appropriate. We'll talk about it while the sheriff's up here. But we did get, and I'm going to pass out in case you all didn't see it. I don't know whether you get the same emails that I did, but this is the, we did get a special distribution again. And included in that special distribution, obviously, is a distribution for the jail local income tax, which that number is located down at the very bottom. It says jail lit, so an additional $232,000. And I told the sheriff, between that and the cash value of that fund, we've got roughly $1 million, and let's start digging into the repairs.
Can we sell it?
Then you'll notice up at the top, under the unit listing, there's Clinton County, and that tells you a little bit about the extra money we got for economic development. The certified shares would be the monies that go into county general, and then the public safety, our portion of the public safety. Now, of that $258,000 for public safety, 25% of that goes to dispatch. So just mentally note that gets a internal split, but. So it's a very healthy distribution, but I guess I would caution saying looking forward, expect one next year, because as you know, the part of the state's pullback that Brett referenced was because of their poor budget forecast, and that would be on 2024 income tax returns. So this is based off of collections for the 2023 year. So I would expect that, next year we would not get an extra distribution, but this is a very healthy one for this year. So I just wanted to, before you begin your listing of things for the building, I do think we have some resources available that we could start tackling some of them.
We do, and I've worked with the commissioners in regards to the repairs that are ongoing right now, showers, plumbing fixtures, the electric is one of the issues. One of the most immediate things is we have to replace a wall, and we're waiting on the I guess it would be a masonry bid. So we have those out to a couple different companies to come in and replace a cinder block wall that is between, it's a hallway and the kitchen that leads back to the inmate area. So it's one of those things where the block is just deteriorating. It's a high wash area. It's where the dishwasher is, and it's just wet 24/7 to a certain extent, and that block is deteriorating. I don't believe it's structural to a certain extent, other than the wall itself. I don't think it supports anything.
Mold,
No, because that's
get it taken care of before we get mold.
right, and and that's one of the things in the repairs to the dishwashing equipment on a regular basis. We try and keep that all knocked down. We're waiting on the cooler to be replaced, the floor in the cooler. Over the last couple of years, we've put everything new in it, and the floor finally gave out on it. So we're replacing the floor, not the entire cooler. We have the key system is going to change, which is the pads get in and out of the building. Those are being changed. So we have quite a few. We had a lot of ductwork replaced that had just rotted away over time. That's been replaced to help with the air quality. And so I think we have some boiler issues coming up later down the road. So every bit of this we can plug in there. I know that there's some salaries that come out of jail lit. So, I mean, we probably do need to get ahead of the game and have some sit down.
But we had a balanced budget before this, so this would be additional
Yes.
beyond those salaries and all, so.
Very good,
Yeah.
very good. So I appreciate it,
Okay.
thank you, and like I say, I'll get with Joe and Alan, and we'll talk about the two positions, and since we're going to be in budget talks here very shortly, I think maybe we'll hold off until we kind of see what the forecast for next year is.
Okay, all right,
I'm okay with that.
all right.
Thank you,
Sheriff.
appreciate it.
Okay, we'll jump back to our regular schedule now. We're ready for additional appropriations for the month of May. Grab that. Beginning with the general fund. Two items, I believe, $6,080. This one, let me explain real quick. You may recall last year at budget time, we were still in the midst of an ongoing discussion with Purdue Extension regarding that contract renewal. And at the time, we intentionally only appropriated money that was equivalent with the previous year's contract amount. We did not approve an increase to that contract until such time that we had finished our negotiations. And those negotiations did conclude. They were very satisfactory, both sides very happy now. So now we need to appropriate the rest of the addition that was the bump from the 24 to the 25 contract. That is $6,080, and that's the COLA cost of living adjustment from year to year. So that's what that is. That would be from the cash balance of County General. And then the commissioners are asking for $1,300 for fire extinguisher inspection and repair for all county buildings, including half of the cost of the Ivy Tech building, which we own jointly with the city. And the next one is the Healthy Communities grant that we just talked about and approved as a one-off there, $17,000 for that program.
Can we back up just one second?
Sure.
The Ivy Tech building, do we know when Ivy Tech is stepping totally out of that?
I'll have to double check. I'm not sure. I can't tell you off the top of my head. We are pushing to accelerate that transfer,
Okay.
and it's just a matter of when they're ready to take it. So I hope it's sooner rather than later, but
Okay.
I can't tell you for certain what that date is.
I knew that was gonna happen at some
Yeah.
point, but I wasn't sure
Yeah.
was this gonna be in 25 or not.
Yeah, I hope we can.
Okay.
I hope we can. Okay, probation, $2,262. This is from one of their grant programs for drug testing. And it looks like I'm missing one for probation because that number on the,
22, there's 87, there's 5,000.
okay, Trex, yeah, it's different programs. $5,019, some money received from Trex, so a big collection through that Trex program there. I still feel like I'm missing the other, it's like I'm out of order here
Well, I was kind of out of order too, but there's, do you have,
for the total.
do you have,
16.
Yeah, we did 2,000 and 5,000, there's 7.
87.
Okay, another Trex, the 87, 65, 86, I was missing that one, okay. For a total for probation of $16,047.77. Dan, I'm glad you're here, because I'm going to ask you a question about this next one. It's in the drain maintenance fund, we got a reimbursement from Total Seed of $8,000 for the Amos Paris Floyd watershed. What, can you speak to that?
I have questions about that too.
Total City Production requested a clean out of the Amos Paris Floyd drain, a particular section of it. It was a determination of myself and the Drainage Board that the need for that arose primarily from silt coming from their seed production fields.
Okay,
It's only a short section, so we talked to them. They agreed to reimburse us for that amount,
okay,
so covering their cost or our
Okay.
cost.
okay, thank you. All right, so we'll put that back into the drain maintenance fund.
Good.
From the Court Interpreter Grant Fund, $364.40 for some interpreter services used. From Brett's Project Income Fund, $15,000 to appropriate for some renovations to finish off the needed changes in the new building. And then he had also some Trex collections, 40659, and the second one, I believe, 47012, for a total of $15,876.71 for community corrections. The probation opioid grant, $4,000 for incentives, $2,100 for office supplies, and $18,800 for contractual services. Nancy's spoken to this before, $24,800 on those grant funds. Highway Department, $333,716.43. This is money we've received from the state for a state's portion of Community Crossings Program, the second project from 2024, so we're appropriating that money for us to be able to write it out as a check. And that is all on the additional appropriations. We do have one transfer to approve, but let's get an approval of the slate of additionals first. Any questions on any of those? Okay, do I have a motion to approve then? Joe with the motion to approve this month's slate. Do I have a second? Second. I think I've got Mary's hand first. We'll go with Mary, second with the second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. The one transfer that we have from the commissioners, $2,500 from the HR manager line, which we have a little bit of extra money because we didn't have that in place January 1. Moving it over to an office supply line, and then you can see the various kind of, as Laura referenced on things that she does, just odds and ends. Bulletin board posters, dry cleaning the flags, different things like that we're giving the commissioners some money to do some of those one-off odd tasks. Have a motion to approve that one. A motion by Carol, do I have a second? Second by Jeff. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Yesterday, we received in our inboxes the updated financial and budget status reports. And we'd like to reflect in the meeting minutes that the auditor has provided those to us, so I'd entertain a motion acknowledging that receipt.
They've been
Received?
received.
Okay. Okay.
They've been something. I've looked them over.
Jeff makes that motion. Do I have a second? Mary with the second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. The motion also carries 6-0. There we go. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to council reports. I was going to jump in with that report on the special distribution, but we've already kind of covered that, but I'll ask if anybody has any questions about that report before we move on. Okay. Any other council reports? Carol, anything you?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I met with, received a call from Valley Oaks, Dan Aarons, and he wanted to chat with Bert and I. Bert was unable to attend, but I met with them because they were interested in being our CMHC. And we know that things are kind of on hold with Jane Pauley. So I did meet with them and was impressed with what they want to offer the county. So they shared with me that, remember, Ford County had put a letter in saying they wanted to be our CMHC, and Valley Oaks did not, because they thought it was already settled, but they are interested. But this, so he was telling me that the stipulation, that the procedure now would be for us to contact the Department of Mental Health and discuss with them that we want to consider Valley Oaks.
Okay.
So I was about to do that when I got email from Sarah Saylor, the new director of the Division of Mental Health and Addiction, asking for a meeting
Okay.
with Bert and I to discuss Jane Pauley.
Oh,
So we're not sure exactly, but we're going to get to the bottom of it. And this Thursday, we're having a meeting. And Bert and I will be meeting with Sarah, and I've asked Laura Archibald to be there as well, because there's nobody who knows more than what our needs are in our community than Laura. So she's going to be there. So on Thursday, I'm hoping to get to the bottom of where we are, how fast we can make this happen, what is
Yeah.
what is going on? Because, we have been told that Jane Pauley is not a registered CMHC. So they're kind of a step behind in getting into the picture. But Valley Oaks and Ford County are already CMHCs. But then the state had told me that they weren't going to make any more CMHCs because they wanted people to be of the next step and be, more qualified. So it's been very, very confusing. But, so Sarah is actually coming to Frankfurt. We're gonna have a sit down.
Oh,
She
good.
said, do you want me to come or do you want to do a virtual? I said, we want to see the whites of your eyes. And so we're gonna meet on
Okay, great.
Thursday. So I'm hoping that at the end of that meeting, I know exactly the track that we're gonna be on. Because it sounds like she's interested in getting it resolved as well.
okay, that's excellent news.
So that is one of my reports. My other report is I am part of Laura's Housing Coalition, and I wanted to share something that Laura had given all the people on the committee, and I want just to make us aware of it. The city did a strategic residential planning analysis, economic and residential outlook. They had this done. This is the report, and it's very thorough, down to saying what kind of apartments, houses we need and what kind of appliances need to be in them. I mean, it's down to the bottom line. But the most interesting piece, I want to finish reading this, but if someone on the council wants to borrow it, I'd be happy for you. And Laura probably has some
I have
extra
lots of copies if one of you want one.
copies if you want a copy.
Do you have a
But-
digital copy?
I do have that also.
You may have already sent it to me, but I'm behind on my email.
But in the conclusion of the document, one of the statements in the conclusion was, given the overall lack of quality differentiated new residential construction throughout Clinton County, annual demand by housing type could double in any given year if supply were made available and competitive rate sales prices are maintained. So we know there's a need.
Yeah, there's a backlog.
And I just thought this is a document that needs to be read, reread, and used, not just, oh, that was nice, and here it is on the shelf.
Well, and that's going to be exceedingly important moving forward, as the new tax law is going to put
Exactly.
so much more heavy burden on incomes versus
Exactly.
assessed values, so we need bodies.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So I thought it was important for us to know about that, but
Yeah.
Laura, you're gonna send him electronically, and if anybody else.
Would you mind sending the whole council? Thank you so much.
It is very worthwhile, and I don't know what it costs the city, but it's a good report.
Okay.
That's my report.
Okay, I did think of one other thing that I want to ask for the council's blessing on, and that is that in the wake of the General Assembly's property tax reform bill, I've had several email exchanges with our financial advisors at Baker Tilly, and we've just been, to the degree that we can, been trying to figure out what the impact would be on Clinton County, and there's so many unknowns and things that are going to, gray areas that are going to have to be decided, and rulemaking by DLGF and things like that. So I can't say that I have any kind of definitive numbers, but we did discuss what they can do is they have access to our entire property tax parcel list, and that they could go in and do some what-if analysis that said, if these rules were in place today, what would the difference have been and things, and I would like to do that. I would like to engage them to start doing some financial analysis and planning so that we can proactively try to do this, even thinking about the 26 budget, to the extent that we've got a year to maybe buffer some of the impact. And one of the things that Emma from Baker Tilly suggested to me, and I thought it was a fantastic idea, but Baker Tilly also works with the city, and they work with at least a couple of the schools, and she suggested that perhaps we reach out to them, and because we're all in the same tax base with the same taxpayer, that we do a joint report. And I think that's a fantastic idea, and I'd like to have the council's blessing that we would at least be willing to put some money up to engage them to do some financial analysis for us. And to the extent that anybody wanted to join us, that we'd be open to, open to that effort.
I think it's vital that we learn.
So I don't have any clue. I guess I wanted first of all, I wanted the approval and consensus of the council that I could at least solicit that as a quote. But, I'm sure they'll put something together and give us a number that we can discuss at perhaps the June meeting. But with that, I guess I'd prefer to have a motion or a vote of consensus that you would support reaching out to our financial advisor at Baker Tilly to begin the analysis of the impacts of the new changes to tax law.
Yeah, we'll make that motion to support that.
Okay, I have a
To
motion
let
by
you-
Jeff.
yes.
Do I have a second? Second by Carol, I think. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you for that. I'll make that contact. Okay, that brings us to commissioner reports. We have no commissioner with us today.
It's me, I did it.
Bert sends his regrets. He's usually here, but he had a commitment today, so we'll pick up with the commissioners next month, which leads to department heads reports. And it's hard to believe, exciting to report that we're going to move across the street here
Yeah.
very soon. And
Our next meeting?
I don't know, maybe. But as we do,
There's a shaking a head in the back. so you know.
okay. As we do so, we start to get into the weeds of the logistics of some things. And so I know we've got a couple of people here that want to speak to some of those issues, and I'm not sure who the spokesman's going to be. Person, is it Britt or Judge Moeller? I know we've got a
It
report.
doesn't make any difference. Either one of us can.
We both have the same info.
We do.
Well, if whoever chooses to speak, if you wouldn't mind coming to the podium so that those listening online can hear through the microphone, that would be helpful. Judge Moeller took the time to come down here, so we'll let him get the microphone. Well, Britt too, okay.
I'm never on this side.
Yeah. Different view of the world.
That's right.
So, group of us have been meeting actually about the last 4 weeks as office holders, trying to get things lined up for the move and look at some of those extra issues that maybe we hadn't considered, and with issues obviously come costs. One of them is going to be storage, and we've got kind of two issues of storage. The move is anticipated to start with, obviously the offices are going to be there permanently. And so desks and most of the furniture is going to be new. It'll be over there. They'll be moving themselves on their computers, pens, papers, all that stuff. But there will be some furniture and stuff left when they leave. For those of us that are going to be there temporarily, which would be both courts, the clerk, the prosecutor, and child support, we'll be moving over there temporarily. A lot of our stuff that will be needed when we return to the courthouse has to be moved out while they do the renovations inside. And so we have storage issues for that. For those that are going over there permanently, they'll have equipment that's left that we may have to look at short-term storage for an auction. Because we'll have some things that aren't going to be needed, but we can't just throw in a dumpster. So we've got two sets of storage needs. And so we've been looking at, the idea was, originally we kind of started looking individually, and we're like, no, let's try to get one place that's going to cover all of our needs and maybe save with that. So we looked at a number of different options and got some prices. We wanted something that was big enough for everything, and we don't know exactly how much we're going to have available for an auction, but there's going to be quite a bit of equipment or furniture. For those of us that are over there temporarily, we wanted something that we would have close and easy access to, because there will be some files, there'll be some things over there we'll probably be needing through the time we're there temporarily. So with all of that and looking at all those options, what we have come up as a group, and we met again yesterday, Bill Miller owns what used to be the Keeney's service building here and had the Crowdy store right across from CVS. It is one completely empty building. It's got a new roof, new heat. It is completely empty other than he may store a car or two in there from time to time. It's got a good solid concrete floor, and it's 5,000 square feet, so we think it's plenty of space for both the temporary storage of things that would be going to auction and the storage of what we need to bring back into the courthouse for the offices that are coming back. We think we'll have plenty of room for all of that. So we've been talking with him. That would be our proposal for solving the storage issues for basically the whole courthouse. So when I talked with him with price, it's 5,000 square feet. We would rent the whole building, so we would be the only ones with access to it other than him. He would have it rekeyed. He would pay for all the utilities. We would just be paying a rental fee.
And can you discuss that rental rate, please?
Yeah. So what we talked about was $6 a square foot, which would be a total for a year of $30,000. What I asked him to do would be, with that number, let's go monthly. So that would come out to $2,500 a month. We would do a 9-month contract, because we're not sure exactly as projects go how long this will take. And then the option to go an additional 3 months if needed, because I think we're looking at 9 to 12 months, probably to be realistic here. But the contract would be set at 9 months with the option to go those extra 3 if we need to.
My question, it does have heat, but it does not have AC. Are you
Does-
concerned about humidity with documents?
As it stands right now, I think we're going to be okay. It is something, he just put a new furnace in, so I think if we had to add air because we were having problems and noticing it, I think
Or
we
even
could.
dehumidifiers?
Yeah, we could do that. It does have water, because I know there was a bathroom in it. You know, it's been full-use building for a number of years. So I think we can address those things if we need to. I don't think we're going to probably have to, but I think we could if we can address it if we need to.
Maybe
It's-
even a large, just, a couple large industrial fans that keep the
Yeah.
air moving on a regular basis would benefit.
And again, it's close enough, it's just basically 1 block to the south here, so.
Handy.
Handy, I know prosecutors looking at a number of physical files that we probably are not gonna have room across the street. Clerk may have stuff, clerk may have some things, just that we have to have access, probably on a weekly basis, maybe more frequently than that. And the convenience of being able to walk across and instead of driving somewhere, I think is nice.
Mary, you had a concern about security.
Security, yes.
Yep.
Would we need to install any additional security?
He's going to change the locks, so it is just a new set of keys, and it'll just be he and us. I think one of the things that's nice about it, it does have overhead doors, those will be locked, but if we need, if we're having the auction, people need to come pick up stuff, we have the overhead doors for that. Otherwise, it would just be entrance off of Jackson Street, where you kind of came in through the karate studio. That would be a locked facility. One of the nice things is, it's right there with his building and everything he goes to daily. So he says, I'm driving by 4 or 5 times a day, keeping an eye on it. It's visible, it's right on the main road. So I think security-wise, it's probably pretty good, but it will have new keyed locks. So in case other people had keys from prior owners, it'll be just now Bill and us. And other than him maybe keeping a car or two, nobody else will be in it. We would rent the whole building.
Okay. I would propose that we invest some of our new special distribution money that we didn't know we had as of last week for this purpose. And I would put a line item in the commissioner's budget for storage, maybe annex storage or storage and moving expenses. But I think given that we're not sure whether we need to come up with a little bit more for fans or anything, I would maybe even bump it a smidge above the 30 to give a little bit of wiggle room in the event that the commissioners need that.
And again, it may be a 2-year thing. You're hitting 2 budgets.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other thing is, as you talk about the other thing that we've discussed, and jump in, Britt, at any time, we've discussed moving expenses too. All of the department heads have looked on, within our budgets, we have come up with what? 38,000 collectively that we think we can pledge either for moving or storage, whichever you don't want to do. We've got about 38,000 from 25's budget that we think all the department heads can pool together to help on one or both of those.
Okay.
We've all kind of gone through our budgets and know.
Go ahead and discuss then, if you would, the moving quote that we have, or Brett, maybe that would.
I brought those if you want them.
It's all the way underneath your seat.
We have, these total up to, it looks like about $25,000 to move the entire courthouse. So the biggest expense in one office, which is a small office, but it's a recorder's office, and they have over 700 books.
They're heavy.
That need moved. And even in my office, when we talk books, they're not little books, they're the big, old, heavy, big books. So we, and we have a lot of equipment and just furniture, and the antiques are heavy. So we're going to be asking two men in a truck to help us move some of the bigger items. We ourselves will move any of the things that we can fit in the storage containers that we've put in here. We're starting to get all of the totes is what we call them, and we're going to move those ourselves, our computers, things like that. But all the big things, we're going to have to hire some help. So
The 38,000 from the different budgets that's pledged to this effort, logistically, how's that going to work? Is each budget going to have a moving line in it, or would you pull all that and have one line somewhere else?
I'm not sure that we can do that. I need to look at that. I was just.
We'd
going
probably have to
with
do
it.
a reduction and then a reappropriation.
We might have to. Or we can pull from each budget.
Okay.
Mhm.
I just thought that might be harder for you to track.
Oh, but you know I love spreadsheets.
Well, okay, so between the two, that's,
And just so you know, on the moving costs, I think, as I look at those, because we've got a couple different, these are the moves, that quote is the move to the new building. We will have another cost
Yeah.
of moving what is
Store.
going to be coming here but going to storage. We don't have that yet because they can't give us a quote till they see exactly
Yeah.
what items are still here. There are some I'm gonna be able to store in my courtroom. The big wooden long pews, benches, we're not gonna move. I don't think I could get them out the door, and I think it would do a lot of damage to them if we did. They're so long and would get damage there. So we're gonna store some of that in my courtroom that is on wooden floor that's not gonna be redone. And I've talked to Jordan about that, but everything else that goes across the street, we don't have that estimate yet, because we gotta get everything else out of here first for them to come give us that estimate. So this is an estimate on going from here to the new building. And then eventually for 26's budget, we'll be moving back.
okay, fair enough.
There might be a few additional costs, and I haven't received those yet, but Braden is wanting to move all the printers and copiers, so they will be doing that, and they will be here several times. Also, we're requesting additional bins for our shredding. We're trying to have Document Mountain come and get everything they can. We're trying to shred things that we can. We're ordering dumpsters so that we can, as we need to, things that are absolutely just trash, we can go ahead and get rid of all that. So we're trying to beforehand sift through and get rid of things that way, so we don't have to move them.
Well, I just, first of all, want to commend all of you for, the department heads, for working together and the proactive way you've tackled this, and the budget-minded way that you've tackled this. I appreciate it very much.
I don't know if you guys do it, but if you provide lunch, people come to meetings.
We have.
All of our meetings.
Did we talk about
So-
this when the project started?
A little bit, Joe.
Incidental, I mean, we knew there'd be, we didn't know exactly the dollar.
Yeah, some of this was difficult to project at that time,
Yeah.
but the other thing to recall was that at the time that we were doing the debt issue, the bond issue, we were up against our cap.
Yes, exactly.
And there were a few things that we knew we were gonna have to figure out a way to fund through the regular budget.
We couldn't
and
do it then.
You couldn't necessarily project them at the time, and these were those kinds of things. So we've got the money with this extra distribution that we can cover this. With the 38,000 that the department heads are pledging, that covers the move. I would suggest that we appropriate the necessary funds for the storage, and put that in the commissioner's budget so that they can execute that contract at their convenience. And again, I would say that we put in just a smidge extra in case we need fans or, a dehumidifier or something.
I mean, again, remember, it'll be kind of, I'm guessing probably we're looking at maybe July 1 through the end of the year for this year's budget, and then 3 to 6 months for next year's budget, but that extra can cover, if we need air conditioning, fans, whatever.
I was thinking 20,000 maybe.
This year.
For this year into that line item. And between, added on top of the 38, if we, you know, they're fungible, so they could go either direction as needed, that would give us 58 to work with for the
I
remainder
will
of the
say
year.
too, it was a hot day when we were
It wasn't
over
bad.
there, and it wasn't bad.
Okay, okay. The main thing they need to know, we can't officially appropriate the money today because it hasn't been advertised, but they need to know
Right.
going forward, the commissioners need to know going forward that the council supports that expenditure. So at the moment, I guess I'm asking for a consensus vote to provide those funds needed to support the moving and storage costs. So let's do that as a motion, I guess, that the council supports.
Make that motion, we go ahead.
And I guess I would throw a number to it. I'd say $20,000.
Not to exceed.
Yeah, so we had Mike with the motion. I think I've got Joe here with the second. Any last questions for the group that's been working on this on a weekly basis?
Just appreciate it.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you for all your work.
So then, as I've talked to Bill and I've talked to Tom, and, you know, I know we'll have to end up with a contract, do you want us to hold off on that until the commissioners approve having a contract put together?
The commissioners are the only ones that can sign the contract. They just need to know the funding is available to support it. So we've done the part that we need to do, and then it'll be up to the commissioners. I'm not trying to select the building. I would let the commissioners make that selection, so let them work with Bill and, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
okay. All right, any other department heads need time with the council? I saw Steven sneak in, and I see Liz, and I see Renee. Anybody? No? Oh, Dan, I'm looking right past Dan, I'm sorry.
Good morning. Sorry
Morning.
for being late. I was on a call. A patient care call, not a phone call. Yeah, should clarify that in my world. We have 2 ambulances that are being auctioned off this upcoming week, both with extensive miles on it, but they're both in pretty good shape. One's a 2016, one's a 2017. And emailing back and forth with the commissioners, Dave Cole with Osage, we're optimistic that, we can get anywhere in a ballpark of $70,000 to $90,000 between the 2 of them. So what will it actually come out to be? I'm not sure, but I just spoke with Ryan West, and he said that there's already somebody interested in both of the ambulances. So I'm optimistic we get some return on that investment.
Okay.
That's all that I have for you this morning.
Well, that's good news, though.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, thanks, Steven. Anybody else? Anybody in general need time with the council today? Okay, seeing and hearing none, call the meeting adjourned.
There's something else that goes with this page.
You want?
I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't something else that went with this page.
I thought there was.
Before everybody leaves,